Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Other World podcast. And today we're going to look at the energy for May. And welcome, Deni.
Hi.
We were just having a beautiful little conversation around how we were hoping the energy would be nice and calm and relaxing and give us a little bit of breathing space this month. But it appears as if we are still both sensing similar things. So I'm going to dive in first, I think, with the numerology and the message from the Akasha for the month of May, and we'll see where we meet when you share your perceptions as well.
Beautiful.
So we're moving into the month of May, and obviously then the archetype or the energy of the archetype that we're working with for this month also changes. So May 2021 is a 1 month because it is the 5th month in a 5th year, which is 10. So it brings it to a 1 month. But it's also double 5 this month. You know, it's a 5 month in a universal 5 year. So we're looking really this month to the energies of 1 and 5. And that's really what we're going to be working with throughout the month of May. So looking at the 1 archetype, that's really to do with new beginnings and fresh starts, and the energy of the new feels really nice, you know, all these new lovely things coming in. And I kind of always think of this as movement forward. It feels quite transient, this energy. It shifts you out of something that you've been sitting in and into something new. So it always feels quite exciting, this energy. When we look at the energies of double 5 and how they influence the 1, we can think of those, the double 5 energy, as massive change. 5 relates to change anyway. When we've got that doubled up, it's going to be big change. So we know that new and big changes are coming throughout this month. So 5 is the fundamental force of expansion, change and movement. It's got all of those energies sitting in it. So therefore this month the energies are going to be guiding you really to take advantage of all the new opportunities that are going to surface through that 1 energy of new beginnings, new opportunities, new things to step into. So you're going to be pushed out of your comfort zone, I suspect, this month, so that you can make those changes in your life that you really want to make. So it's a month to be very careful about what you ask for, I think. Whilst the 1 archetype is about new beginnings, it's also about self-identity. So you may begin to reflect, you may be finding that you bring your thoughts inwards, really to notice the internal changes that you're now ready to make so that you can dive into something new. It's starting with you. It's that place of who I am and who do I want to become. So that self-reflection, I think, is going to be quite specific or quite dominant, I would say, this month, but particularly at the beginning of the month as well. And that's a really good time, I think, to sort of sit with these energies, sit with this information, and actually look at yourself and what changes you really do want to make in your life, what you feel ready to do now as well. So if you've been resisting change in some way, if you've been hanging on to old patterns, old habits, you know, you haven't really wanted to let go of something, this is really the month, I think, when you're going to feel an intensity, a strong drive or a push to actually start releasing those things that you haven't been able to up until now. Or even, you know, those could be things like old patterns or old habits. They could be old, outdated thoughts or belief systems that you've just been hanging on to. It could even be relationships or a job that you've just been in too long. So look at it across all of your life areas. I would say that this month is going to bring a really big invitation that you can't actually say no to in terms of change. You're going to be invited to make changes, and I don't think you're going to be able to say, no, I don't want to change. You're actually going to be driven to make those changes. And I think that's something that we're going to be discussing a lot over the next few weeks as we go through May. So the beginning of the month really brings an opportunity to reflect on the inner changes that you need to make to create the outer changes, the external changes that you want in your, in your life. And it will be really good to get very clear about that before the month really kicks in, so that you are ready to jump into the opportunities that surface throughout the month. There's a lot of things that are coming in. This is all new energy that we're working with this month. So you want to be prepared and ready for that by having a really clear idea of where you're heading. So getting comfortable with being uncomfortable is being taken to a whole new level this month, and seeing how far you can deepen into that, I suspect. For just looking at the week ahead, one of the most powerful days in terms of numerology this week is Wednesday, which is the 5th day of a 5th month in a 5 universal year. So we've got the 555 energy on that day. And that brings a lot of creativity and finding your joy, as well as being associated with change. So you can really use the energy of Wednesday, the 5th of May, to set powerful intentions, take new and different actions, or release old patterns. So that's a really good day to actually sit with all of this information and work out for yourself, where do I really want to go? And make sure that you set a strong intention. Wherever you focus your energy on that day, be prepared for change. So make sure that you're really clear about what you're asking for when you set those intentions. And, be prepared for something in your life to change around that, because you're calling it in. So that's kind of the sort of basis or the foundation of the month of May. So then I drew a card. I actually drew 2 cards today, but I wanted to draw one for the month and one for the week ahead. So the one that I drew for the month is this one. It's the 8 of Earth. So I got an Earth card for a change. And I really love the Earth cards. And this one just instantly kind of made me feel grounded and happy. It sort of took me into my happy place. But this card really seems to, I think, reflect the numerology of this month as well. And that's because it's all about focusing on yourself and mastering something new. It actually says that success comes with a clear intention and determination, which really, I think, reflects the energies that I've just been discussing. I feel that it really underlines the guidance to get really clear about who you want to become, so that you are prepared for the changes that you need to make within yourself. So I'm kind of really interested to see, as always, what your reflection on this is, but that's definitely what I was thinking or feeling into today. Then I went into the Akashic Records just for the month ahead, not so much for the week, but looking just broadly with interest around what was showing up in the numbers for May, to just ask a question around more how we can support ourselves through these energies. That's really where I directed my focus this time. And so this is what I got back. I got back that the word for this month is breathe. The changes internally are going to be huge, but they don't have to affect you in a negative way internally. This is an opportunity to deepen your center, to really notice how strong you can be when you hold space for yourself. You can literally hold yourself in a place of internal peace and calmness when everything around you feels like chaos. So reach out to nature, meditate more, use daily or even hourly practices of focusing on your breath, just coming back into your center. And that's your sanctuary. See it as your safe place, the one place that you can count on to remain safe, to remain the same. The changes that are coming can feel very uncomfortable, for sure, but these changes are good. They are going to shift you more into alignment with your own truth. So don't fear them, embrace them in the knowledge that they are really going to serve you. And also in the knowing that you are ready for them. So it was a beautiful message from the Akasha. And then I drew another card around that and got the 7 of fire. And the card that, this card actually really felt to me that it acknowledged in some way that message from the Akasha. Even the picture seems a little bit chaotic, that lots of movement, lots of energy, but the message is really clear. In fact, it even says on the card, hold your ground, breathe, and persevere with courage. So I think a beautiful reflection on what the Akasha is showing us for the month ahead. So that was me, and I hope that information all helps everyone this month. But Deni, please share with us your reflections as well.
Thanks, Fee. That was beautiful and feels very in line with what's been coming through for me. I've been reflecting on these podcasts that we're doing, and thinking to myself as I was looking through and feeling into the month ahead and the energies that we're going to be moving through, and I was really coming up with what's going to be helpful, what will serve people that are listening to this podcast, because we're traveling through such a huge time, such huge cosmic tides is what it feels like. As I was looking through the month, we've come out of that April month where, the last thing I can remember in our podcast was get comfortable with the discomfort. And here we are moving into March with another lot of huge energies. And I guess I want to start it by in a positive way by saying that, hopefully through the readings that we give, that we're empowering you to know what the energies are ahead and how to best position yourself to ride through them in an empowering way, is what I'm saying, rather than just have them coming at you. I guess the idea of these readings is kind of knowing what's going on out there and how can we best go through them and what can we bring, how can we position ourselves to take the biggest advantage of the energies that we're going through. So I guess I wanted to just kind of give a positive spin to what might be really big energies, but with, as always, we are completely in control. I can remember when I first started diving into this kind of work, being told, once you open that door, once you become conscious, you can't go back the other way. And it kind of feels like a really good thing to be reminded of at the moment, where I think most people who are listening to us are, being conscious of what's going on around them is a really important thing. So I say that because we can't go backwards once we want to wake up to this information. So let's go forward into it and see what we can do with it to be help us move towards our purpose in a better way, because it does feel like purpose is underneath everything. There's also this sense of us going through and moving through some shadow and some darkness in some of the hidden realms. I was guided to look at it as the hero or heroine's journey, where we're moving through and we're going to come across some hills and some valleys and some caves and some sunshine and some plains. This month, I think we might get a little bit of all of it, but we're definitely going to go down into some depths. I started with 2 cards just to kind of get an idea of, again, similar to you, Fee. I did one for the whole month, and then I did one just to kind of give me an idea of where we're moving into. The card for the month is really beautiful. It's the vision. And this card speaks to the big vision, the vision that happened when each of us decided to incarnate on this planet. What are we here for? The big purpose, the vision that happened at the moment of your birth. So it's a biggie. It's, I guess, in a sense, it's not just about May, it's about your life. And May feels like it's a pivotal moment in that whole vision. But as always, we need to go through a journey to realize that vision. And the card that I got, second card I got was Thanatos, and that is death. So those 2 extremes once again, that dark and light, or that idea of a journey and having to go through some realms, dark realms, in order to get to that place that we came here to get to. It's not always easy, but it's fulfilling. I guess is the best way to put it. So those were the 2 major cards and thoughts for the month: the big vision, and then what it's going to take to realize that vision, and that may be going through some sticky places. But it's a biggie. We're going, the place of vision is your North Star. It's your Dharma. It's what you came here to do. So in order to get there, you look to the polarity, which is Dharma, South Pole, a place of what you brought in and what might need to be excavated in order to move forward. Some of the highlights for May, some of the big things that are happening astrologically that are going to take us into these different places. I mean, as you said, Fee, we'll probably get into them week by week, but just to kind of give some themes. This month, while we're in Taurus, we're going to be moving towards Gemini. So that's going from an earth sign into the air, or air signs. And Gemini is a real, it's a communication month. Which feels really good, because we have had, a bit of stickiness around communication for a little while. Mercury will enter its home sign of Gemini on the 4th of May, and that will feel like a little bit of harmony, particularly in our relationships and dealing with people. So enjoy that while it happens, because also in the month of May, towards the end, Mercury will go into retrograde. So there will be this lightening up and this ability, this while we were in Taurus, we're at home, and there will be a feeling of wanting to reach out and communicate and share. So there's a little bit more of a socialness going on as we move towards the Gemini month on the 20th, but also with Mercury going into Gemini on the 4th, there will be that energy moving up into the month of May. There's some big moments. We have Jupiter, the biggest planet in our solar system. It takes 12 years for Jupiter to move around the entire wheel of the zodiac, and Jupiter is moving out of Aquarius and into Pisces. For the first time in 12 years, Jupiter will be in Pisces, and Jupiter expands. So Jupiter is expanding the energy of Pisces, which is all around the mystic realms, our intuition, where we hold magic. So this is a really beautiful thing to support us going into those depths. We're being supported to really uncover those gifts that we've come here to realize once again. That is a beautiful energy, beautiful supportive energy. We have 3 planets moving into Gemini. That's during this month. Venus, Mercury, and the Sun will all be moving into Gemini. So Gemini energies become very big. but we also have 3 major planets going into retrograde. And that means while they don't move backwards from the Earth's perspective, they appear to move backwards. And that gives us a time to go over. We've got Saturn going retrograde, so that will be going restructuring, going through and back over our structures and making sure that we are where we want to be from a ground up level. We have Mercury going into retrograde, and traditionally people may know of this as being having problems in communication or with computers or devices. It can just be a time of going inwards and reflecting, as opposed to being too out there with socializing. It's a bit more of that, okay, can I review where I've been over this last month and what maybe needs to be looked at, as well as Pluto. Pluto's in retrograde at the moment, and I think we spoke about that last week. There's a couple of other really big moments this month, and they feel very much around the feminine. We have Lilith, the dark goddess Lilith. Lilith is a place inside of equality, like really wanting to stick up for everything being equal. Really, Lilith was the first wife of Adam, to go back into mythology, and she did not want to be subservient in any way, and that wasn't what Adam was looking for in a wife back then. So they just hit each other at that point. So this part of Lilith has been a little bit asleep in the world, but it's very much come awake over the last decade, of the feminine, the reclamation of the feminine and the feminine way of being. So when I'm saying that, it's not so much female, it's feminine energies. It's the place of intuition as opposed to logic. So when I'm referring to feminine, just so that you know, that's what I'm referring to. So number one, the Sun conjuncts Lilith. That's a big moment mid-month. And mid-month, we also have the Sun moving into the area of the skies that holds the Pleiades and the Seven Sisters. In traditional times, this was a bad omen, kind of like how in the Garden of Eden, it was Eve that took the apple, and that's what brought free choice to the world, and that was seen as a bad thing. There's a lot of myths around the feminine that take us into that make us feel like they're bad things, like the number 13. The number 13 is such a feminine number, and yet it's seen as this, oh, number 13 is going to bring bad luck. And that's part of the reclamation. And I think that when the Sun goes through that Pleiades area in the sky, which sailors used to think would be a bad omen for going out into the ocean, I think actually what it is it's just that's a time for us to reclaim what that means, and reclaim the mysteries, the feminine mysteries, reclaim things around that, around the witch archetype that I've spoken about before, the magic that is in the earth, the magic of the way the moon brings about our cycles. It's a time of diving into your feminine, or our feminine, this month. Probably the biggest thing that'll happen this month is on the 26th of May, and it is a super full blood moon eclipse. Huge mouthful, all happening in Sagittarius. And eclipses, and particularly this one, they can feel really heavy, but they can be incredibly transformative times if we work with the energy. This particular one is, there's lots of endings. And I think where the omens come from, or that feeling, is that there are a lot of endings this month. That's death. And death, we look at it in such a negative way, but things have to die in order for new things to grow. So once again, we can use this in a really positive way to move forward. Yes, the eclipse is going to happen. Yes, it will probably take us into some uncomfortable, abrupt endings, but that can also lead to incredibly huge leaps forward. And this month feels very pivotal in that respect. It feels like we're going to go through a lot, but there's going to be an enormous jump forward that will happen as a result of all of these energies. Yeah.
Big month.
Another big month, but you know, we're living in really big times. This is a really big year. So and I guess we've all chosen to be here to do this. And we opened the door to being conscious, and it may seem a bit easier to have remained unconscious and just be moving through this, but you know, I don't think that any of us really chose to be here for that reason. We chose to walk this in a really conscious way.
Well, exactly that. And I think that, you know, when you're on a journey into consciousness, the thing, we can't expect for it all to stop and, you know, just calm down when we're actually on a process of evolving, when we're actually on a process of growing within ourselves. That's what we're asking for. So if we hold an expectation that it's all going to calm down and stop, then we're going to stop growing and evolving. And if that's not our intention, then those two things just aren't going to align with each other. So I think, you know, one of the most important things to understand about that journey is though that you can always put the pause button there in place at any point. You can always choose to just step away for a moment, for a day, for a week, for a month, for however you need from that journey of self-evolution. You are in control of that. But if you're asking to evolve, if you're asking to grow, you're going to constantly be working with these energies. So, you know that you can pause the button sometimes, but also know that your intention is to be here at this time to evolve in a really conscious way.
Yes, and you know, it's no small thing what we're moving through as a race, as a planet, and I think the more awake we are, the better it will be for this planet. Really,
yeah, it's where we're healing. Oh, thanks.
So
That was lovely.
Yeah. That's the month of May, and we'll be back in a week's time to kind of break that down bit by bit. But enjoy the week ahead. And Fee, I think you're going to hit the pause button.
Yep.
And have a bit of a holiday. So enjoy. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you when you get
I'm
back.
off to Magnetic Island, so that's exciting. And yes, I'm pausing for a little while, and I'll be back. But yes, look forward to seeing you next week.
Beautiful.